Right. Hello. Hello. Neptune Returns is already there. He's queuing on. I always knew. Hello, Neptune. How are you? Hello, DJ B2. Thanks for getting here on time, guys. Much appreciated. To wait for a few more of you to turn up. I hope you're well. Yeah. Did Harp do Heatwaves? Oh, we're getting ahead of ourselves here, Neptune Returns, but I'll come back to that. But thanks for joining me. And I don't know if you can see the lunar eclipse where you are. It's out there somewhere. I haven't had time to look at it, but the sun doesn't rise for another 20 minutes, and it's going to be the big eclipse. Oh, excuse me. But interesting thing. There's also a conjunction of the Moon and Mars, which is I think again the most significant one for 100 years or something. And Mars is as close to the Earth as it gets, and it's really, really bright. And I don't know how many of you know about astrology and things like that, whether that's significant from an astrological point of view, but that is that does interest me, Pain and Death of the New World Order. Hi, how you doing? Thanks for joining us, guys. Some of you put some comments on the notice, the live stream notice, which I'm just going to go through now. Here we go. The hot topic. Yes, it's a very hot topic tonight, Steve. Steve of 71, yeah. Mark Porritt says, our weather patterns don't seem normal now. It's very unusual for prolonged heat like this. And we've had prolonged cold winter too. And normally there's more variety in our weather. Something's going on. Yeah. That's what I'm going to discuss tonight, Mark. Steve Mumbling says 33 degrees, brr, chilly. That's right. He's a tough old Aussie. Actually, I've been to Australia, and it is a lot warmer there than it is in Britain. Far warmer. MS1 says, London's cooking. Fetch the engines. London broil. It's roasting geezer, yeah. Woody Black says, I'll be at work for this one. Well, I'm sorry, Woody. And Woody has contributed to all the other live streams, so I'm sorry Woody won't be for this one. Diego Rivera will be there. Of course you will, Diego. Yes. David Schultz, when you are talking about the temperature or the dew point. All right. Well, I don't know exactly what that means, I'm afraid, in terms of dew point, but I do know that it means something. Hello, Diego. Hello, David. Royd Freedom. Hello. Hang on. Is Royd Freedom who I think it is? Right, just going to ban Royd Freedom. Just one moment. Remove. Hide user. I think hide user on this channel. So Royd Freedom is someone I think I'm going to have to ban. You should just look at the avatar and you'll see it. There we go. Right. Now then, it's raining where Diego Rivera is. Well, it's good. It's not rained here yet. It's been predicted thunderstorms across southern England. They missed us so far. Hey, Tina Silver, how are you? DJ B2 wants to microwave us. DJ B2 says Hillary Clinton wants to microwave us all because she's not president. I bet she does. Hillary Clinton is that sort of person. She is basically a Goethe Demerung maneuver kind of person. She would, because the Americans voted for Trump. I think she would try and provoke war with Russia if she ever becomes president in 2020, just to get her own back. Lime Specs, greetings. Richard Kinzet, hello. The weather's being hyped by the media, says Diego Rivera. Well, that's true. I'm going to come into that actually. Diego Rivera, John Cutter, greetings, and Creative Imaginings. Welcome back, Creative Imaginings. I got up to watch the eclipse and it was slow, but when I went back out, the moon had gone. So it did happen. Yeah, it depends where you are in the world. I know different people can see it at different times. I don't know where you live, Creative Imaginings, but it is visible in a lot of places. I think over much of Europe, over Africa, and some of the Far East, I think, and the Southern Hemisphere. I know it's a lot visible there. John Cutter says, my wife says hi. Hello, John Cutter's wife. Anthony Moore, hello, greetings. How's it hanging? Same as always. Diego Rivera says the English Bigfoot must hate this weather with his big fur coat. I was wondering when we get around to the English Bigfoot, Diego Rivera. Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether they molt or something. I have to ask Deborah. Lovely hot weather. I filmed a UFO, Dave. Did you, David? Oh, right. Well, put it up on YouTube. Yeah, it rained a pathetic amount this afternoon. Yeah, it's going to be difficult to do that, isn't it? Hi, Tina. Hello, Bennis. GS Evolved, greetings. Mickey Tolman, a bit nippy down here in Truro, in Cornwall. Cornwall's usually pretty warm. It was when I went there. Shared Kindness says, hi there, Ben. We had thunder and rain brought, and it's lovely and chilly out there now near Bedford. So happy now. Oh, blood. Well, send it this way, Shared Kindness. Please share it. Live up to your name and send it to us. I tell you, I can't wait. This is the sort of weather we crave, isn't it? When it's not there. In the middle of winter, where it's freezing cold or pouring with rain, you can't wait for a nice long hot summer. When it's there, we don't get it. Steve071, hello, how are you, Steve? Now, I just want to show you something quickly. I think I can probably, it's probably easier to go to the website here. Yeah, I just want to show you something quickly. So I'm going to turn the camera on the Heatwave Voice blog, and then I'll refocus it in a moment. Do you see that? That is a newspaper. I photographed that. It's a newspaper headline, which you can call the Sun a newspaper. That is the newspaper headline there. The world's on fire. Planet gripped by killer heat wave. Hundreds die in Europe and Japan. Do you see that? Right, that's if you want to see that again, actually, I'm just going to refocus the camera. One moment. Okay, if you want to see that again, go to Heatwave Voice, and it's there. All right. Anthony Morn, it's pissing down in Durham, thunder and lightning. Bloody, oh God, I can't wait. Thanks, Shared Kindness. We see it. Hi, that's thanks, Bennis. Yeah, that is. I'm going to come on. I'm going to say a little bit about that. And Steve's got a thunderstorm. It's not thundering out here. It's been no rain at all. Nothing. No peals of thunder in the distance. Absolutely nothing here in Oxford. Here in central England. Oh, good, nice one, David. Cloudy. Lime Specs is getting it. Heated debate tonight, but yes, very heated. Yeah, it seems to be moving. If it's in Bedford, then that's a good sign because it's heading southeast. Apparently, the cold front, which hopefully means we'll get it soon here in Oxford. That's what I hope. Mickey Tolman, my mate works in the Met Office. Oh, good. Well, you can use that a bit of source of information. Anyway, guys, I'm going to begin the lead off, and then I'm going to start then I'm going to answer it. I'll take your questions. Okay. So yeah, now this is this newspaper headline. I wanted to show it to you because I'll tell you what, if I had seen that when I was a little kid, it would have mortified me. I would have been absolutely horrified. I want to say a little bit. This is not going to be a long lead off. It's shorter than the last two, but yeah, it would have horrified me because I was a very nervous child. I was easily frightened, and things like this would really screw me up because I would start worrying. And that fear that kind of fear has never gone away. In a way, it's something I have had to battle with through my life. I believe I have actually got on top of it, but I do remember what it was like to be a child. It wasn't that long ago. Now, there's another factor here that is because this won't affect everyone because this is a heat wave that is basically covering the entire northern hemisphere. Yet in Britain, it's a particular import because in Britain, weather is a national obsession. It could be to do with our climate. Our climate is changeable, it's unpredictable, and it's extreme weather is normal here. We have a climatic normal, but the actual weather, the day-to-day weather, is constantly vacillating backwards and forwards from that climatic normal. That's normal. That's the way it is here in Britain. It's quite boring. It's quite a boring climate, really. I mean, Slaxer complains about this on his vlog, but Slaxer put it very well. He said, "Oh, it's like, British weather is, wet and dismal, wet and dismal, wet and dismal. Then the summer comes, wet and dismal, wet and dismal, hot and sunny for 1 week, wet and dismal, wet and dismal, wet and dismal." And then winter comes in, it's like wet, dismal, and cold, wet, dismal, and cold, wet, dismal, and cold. Then you get 1 week, freezing cold, snow, ice, and back to wet, dismal, cold, wet, dismal, cold. So it's rather like that. And that's true. That is British weather. And it is an obsession. I mean, we go on and on about it. Weather forecasts, weather broadcasts on the news, they're always very, very well up there. And every extreme weather event you get in Britain generates these pages and pages of headlines for days on end. And it's normal journalism now to have a TV reporter broadcast from a beach. Usually they're wading in the sea with their trousers rolled up and sunglasses on, or they're trudging through their knees up. They're trudging through snow up to their knees wearing a warm jacket, freezing cold and things like that. So that's the way weather is in Britain, where I live. Now we're in late July, and the northern hemisphere which is where I am now, is at the apex of summer. This late July is kind of the apex of summer. I mean, summer officially starts on the summer solstice, but I've noticed that the hottest time appears to be round about now. Late July through August tends to be the hottest, and then come September, then summer winds down into autumn. And autumn in Britain usually begins sometime between early September and late September, sometimes a bit later. It all depends on the weather, as always. And what's happened here is that heat waves have broken out everywhere in multiple places. Now, you get heat waves regularly. Heat waves are normal, they're natural. They're not necessarily a sign of climate change. But what we've had here is heat waves have broken out across Europe. Not just in Britain, but all across Europe it's happened. Sweden, which is very, very hot at the moment as well. Japan have had really hot weather. They've had it even hotter there. North America and Scandinavia, as well as almost everywhere else. And there have been record-breaking temperatures everywhere. Wildfires have destroyed entire towns in Greece. That was awful, that was. There was huge fires. They actually burnt up entire towns. And the home counties of Britain the farmland there has been dubbed the Surrey Savannah. And I was watching Democracy Now. It's a guilty pleasure of mine. No, I don't fancy Amy Goodman, but Democracy Now is kind of a sort of centre-left American TV production where they have news and things like that. And they did a piece about hot weather, and they've warned that it's linked to a rise in suicides. And there's a guy who's just done a scientific study on the link between suicides and hot weather. But to be honest, that could be a result of the heat wave porn that's in the media at the moment, like the newspaper article I just showed you. And here we've had portents of doom in Britain, which we're approaching the biblical failed harvests, fresh water being plundered from the Lake District to feed the reservoirs, the livestock being given the winter feed now, which they've been saving up for winter. And no doubt at some point someone's going to suggest that the EU can help us. Yes. And this is Brexit for you. Brexit causes heat waves. I'm sure that's going to be suggested at some point. Now, I'm somebody whose job involves being outdoors. And I've noticed this. I've noticed dry gardens, parks, the grass is dead. River levels have got lower. And this has affected my own health. I've had sunburn a few times. I tend to wear like a white cotton sheet behind my head. I tuck it into it's actually I cut up a t-shirt to do it. I tuck it in under my hat so it keeps the back of my neck from the sun. So it's effectively like a Legionnaire's hat. But I have had sunburn a couple of times. I fainted on Thursday. No, on Wednesday. Yeah, I was on Wednesday. I fainted. I was actually digging a vegetable patch in someone's garden. They were planting potatoes, which I thought was a bit stupid because they don't come out very well if you plant them this late. You have to plant them in sort of April time. But this person was desperate to try and start potatoes, and they were paying me. So I was digging holes in the ground in the vegetable patch. And I just suddenly I came over like dizzy, and I felt unwell, a bit nauseous and dizzy. And I just went inside, and the client was very nice. She sat me in the kitchen, gave me a glass of water. But I had to stop work and go home. It was the end of the day anyway. It was quite late in the day. It was about 3 p.m., so it wasn't too bad. But that's the hottest time of the day. So obviously the heat had got to me. I mean, I'm not bred for this, you see. I'm British. I'm not a Bedouin. And I'm not alone. A lot of people have been collapsing like that. It is embarrassing, but, I was out digging a vegetable patch. And Slaxer, I've got to say, Slaxer's done a good job, actually, because he does record, because of where he records his vlog, which tends to be in walks around his local area, which is in rural Oxfordshire. He's good at recording the effects of the heat wave. And he's done that. Now, so far, this is not a record-breaking heat wave. The record in this country is, in terms of sheer temperature, 38.4 degrees. 101 Fahrenheit. It hasn't quite hit that. Also, in terms of actual extent of the entire heat wave, you have actually go back to 1976, the great heat wave of 1976. That was where we had 15 consecutive days of 32 degrees plus. I mean, I don't remember that. I was a little baby, and I lived in Wales, where I think we got off quite lightly. Wales tends to be cooler than the rest of the country. It tends to be the southeast of England that gets it the worst. So this has made me think, climate change. What if it's real after all? What if man-made climate change is real? Keep watching. Bear with me, all right? You may be surprised what I'm about to say. Now, it's like I say, I'm not a little kid anymore. You may have noticed, but I remember what it was like, and this sort of neurosis is still there at the back of my mind, and it's something I have to battle. And when weather gets like this for as long as it has been, I sometimes find it hard to imagine that it will ever change. And I know intellectually that it has to change. It cannot last forever. No heat wave can last forever because we have a dynamic weather system here. But it just feels as if it's eternal. It just feels so entrenched. It feels so permanent. It feels like it's got its claws into the country and it's hanging on. I just feel like it feels almost like an intelligent entity. And I can imagine it going on forever. Or maybe it'll just get hotter and hotter and hotter until we simply burn up. Now, how many of you have seen Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, the original movie, the 1961 film? Because I know it actually, the film actually went on to be produced into a science fiction TV series, but it is a science fiction film, the Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea. It's about a futuristic scenario with a submarine and all the various things. It often involves things such as aliens and things like that. It's pretty good. But anyway, the movie is really good because it involves a situation where the Van Allen radiation belts around the Earth, which Marcus Allen talked about on Dreaming Saucers, they catch fire through some process I didn't quite understand. But they threaten to roast the planet alive in this ring of fire around the Earth. And I saw the film though, and it scared the shit out of me, quite frankly, when I was a little kid. And I used to keep having to say to my mum and dad, "It's not real, is it? It's not real. It's not real." I don't know how old I was, single figures certainly. And my mum and dad said, "No, it's not real, Ben. It's a movie. It's not real." But then, if I'd seen that film, if I was that age today, and I'd seen that headline, which is easily, it's easily comprehensible to a child. The slogan, they had the headline slogan, which actually said "The world's on fire." That would freak me out. It really would. It would be the perfect ingredient for childhood nightmares. Now, another thing, as I said, because we have this national obsession with the weather, and the news answers that obsession, it's distracted people from other things like Brexit. What's happening with Brexit? We still don't have the deal. It's still up in the air. There's Gary Lineker talking about, let's have a second referendum. Oh, dearie me. Footballers can go one way or the other, can't they? As we know with David Icke. But Gary Lineker went the other way, didn't he? He really did. But this focus on the weather has given the media the pretext they need to bury news about Brexit. So, I bet you're all sitting there thinking, what did he say? Did he say man-made climate change is real? Did he? Because what did I mean? Because I have been saying for years on this channel, haven't I, that climate change caused by human carbon dioxide emissions, or carbon as it's called, is a hoax. It's concocted for the New World Order. And I've made several videos talking about that. So am I now admitting that I was wrong and I'm going to become a Mark Linus aficionado? No, you'll be very relieved to hear. No, I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that there are ways to warm up the planet that can be used. And HAARP is one of these things, the High Altitude Auroral Research Project. And that can inject heat into the atmosphere. It can alter the Earth's magnetic field to affect sun exposure, solar radiation exposure. But there are much simpler methods. For example, selective chemtrailing. So, for example, you can warm up the planet simply by chemtrailing at nighttime and not in the daylight. So, if you notice there's a lot of chemtrails in the day and there's more at night, It could be they're trying to warm up that area, because cloud during the daytime, of course, lowers temperature. It protects the ground from solar radiation. But during the nighttime, it actually prevents the heat that is in the daytime escaping. So the heat that actually has been, the ground's been warmed up by the daytime heat, and at nighttime, clouds can actually keep it in. It acts as a blanket. This is why if you go to the desert, right, it's very, very hot there, of course, in the day, but deserts can get extremely cold at night. And you often get, sometimes in the morning, it's frost. The reason is because there's no cloud. So deserts are famous for having very cold nights. So that's simply done on a global scale could warm up planet Earth. So you could get like a decrease in temperature simply by selective chemtrailing and maybe the use of HAARP. Now, the cause of heat waves, localized heat waves, are wind direction and levels of atmospheric pressure. So it's got to do with where the wind's blowing from and ridges of high pressure, which cause heat waves. Now, both those things can be generated and controlled using existing and patented weather warfare technology. If you don't believe me, check out the patents. And also, there's a very, very good documentary. It's a very interesting documentary, quite chilling actually, called Eyes in the Sky, and it was made in 1959 by Disney. It's part animated, it's part live, but it talks about how, firstly, satellites could be used to monitor weather, which of course is what happens nowadays, and that various other methods could be used to control weather. There's a fictional scenario from a futuristic world where they use various methods, including chemtrailing and the using explosions and things like that, to actually move a hurricane away from the US coast. Because, of course, the United States of America has suffered terribly and still does when hurricanes hit the coastline. But using this method, they can actually steer the hurricane away into the sea, where it just expends itself. Now, of course, if you can steer a hurricane away from your own country, you could steer one towards a country you want to target. And you could do terrible damage, cause appalling loss of life and infrastructure, and with complete and utter plausible deniability, because if anyone accuses you, you could just say, well, it's a freak of nature. You never have to declare war officially on that nation. Yeah. Now, all these things are technically man-made climate change, aren't they? So you probably know where I'm going with this, and it's something that we should have guessed that they would try. And I did suggest it in my video about Christmas 2015. If you watch that, the idea does occur to me. But the thing about it is that the global warming caused by carbon emissions, supposedly, has, in a sense, is becoming more and more discredited, more widely discredited. More and more people are doubting anthropogenic global warming, as it's known, where carbon dioxide emissions from industry and from civilization actually warm up the atmosphere. They trap heat in the atmosphere and warm up the planet. That is still the mainstream idea within climatology. But then, of course, what's climatology? It's a group of people who have rent to pay like everybody else, and who are affected by human psychology like everyone else, like the Milgram experiment. So I've gone into that. I've explained how large infrastructure, large institutions involving many, many thousands of people can be persuaded to keep secrets. We've seen it at the BBC. We see it everywhere. So combine that, though, this rising doubt among the population, with the importance of anthropogenic global warming theory for the geopolitical goals of the New World Order, that its rise with authoritarianism and internationalism. Now, I'm just going to find a quote for you, Ashish. Sorry, I should have got this up earlier. Where is it? Bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Right. Panamo Voice. I'm just going to go to an old Panamo Voice article. I could do this on the blog, but then you see the monitor, the white of the screen. Here we are. Right. It acts as like lighting. It is one part of my lighting. Now, this was a chap called Dr. Mayer Hillman, who did a lecture at Conway Hall, the place where I've often been to, famous for his atheo-skeptico, materialistico things, right? And he said something pretty chilling. He said something pretty. He was very, very frightened when he did this speech. Actually, there is a link in the show notes. Let me just check to see if there's a link in the description box to this. I must remember to put that in. No. I'll remember to put those in. Okay. Oh shit! Bloody endless damn. Description box links. Okay, where are we? Sorry, here we go. Okay. What does Dr. Hillman suggest? He says that the United Nations personal carbon allowance ration must be implemented, or we're all doomed. That's what he says. And this is the thing, because Hillman in his speech is incredibly nervous. He's frightened. He's talking about something that he believes is going to cause the end of civilization and the end of the world, and because he believes in man-made climate change. And when you get someone believing that, you have to believe, people that will believe we're all doomed. There's this guy called McPherson, Dr. Guy McPherson, who's basically saying, we've had it, we're finished. It's all over. He's going around the world telling us how we're all going to die. People actually pay to listen to that. But if you could just put in Mayor Hillman, MAYER HILLMAN at Conway Hall, and you'll be able to watch his lecture. It's still up online. But he says here that basically the United Nations personal carbon allowance must be implemented. So that's basically forced rationing of everything. This is Agenda 21 we're talking about here. And he says, and then he says, that's that right. He says he advocates draconian global regulation of transport for holidays, businesses, and trade. His ideas for the transformation of all sectors of the economy geared towards organizing in light of its use of fossil fuels and environmental impact. What he's talking about here is Agenda 21. It's a very extreme form of communism, actually. He proposes food rationing on the model used in World War II. And then he says this. Now, this will make your blood curdle. The democratic process is not sacrosanct. The majority view in the developed world is that the people are not prepared to make the lifestyle choices for dramatic carbon reductions necessary, and their democratic leaders do nothing except pander to their whims to get elected. Do we subscribe to the democratic approach to decision-making, which has so far failed, or in this instance, as I would argue, it has to be set aside? Whether the public like it or not, these changes have to be made. If these changes are not made, we will surely hand over a dying planet to succeeding generations. Now that is the global warming propaganda agenda in a few sentences. Mayor Hillman is telling them exactly what they want to hear. So this is why at some point, with more and more people disagreeing and more people doubting, which Hillman doesn't, of course, somebody within whoever's behind this New World Order who are looking for these goals of authoritarian and internationalism, as I've just pointed out, what Hillman's just pointed out, they're going to suggest artificially raising the Earth's temperature by means of covert geoengineering in order to blame man-made climate change and deceptively prove the climate change deniers wrong. We're talking here about an environmental false flag. And I thought this might have happened in Christmas 2015. Because what was happening in Christmas 2015? Well, I explained in the video, but do you remember, any of you watching today? What it was COP21. The big thing in Paris. Do you remember where they were all deciding that this international agreement to reduce carbon emissions? And they came up with this this horrifying new rule, which basically said that rather than targeting for particular carbon emissions reductions, they would actually target for actual temperature increase and adjust carbon emissions to prevent temperature increases above 2%. And they mentioned the deindustrialization of China. This is bloody awful. It's an awful thing. Kev Baker's just made a really good video about this, actually. So maybe that's what's happening now. I don't know. But this is just something we've got to consider. especially, as I say, it combines with Brexit and things like that. And when there's heat in the environment, it makes ordinary life a struggle, which may be a part of what they're talking about, what Democracy Now! Are talking about relating to suicide. So you have hot weather and you have fear. The perfect cocktail of compliance. In these conditions, we become more suggestible, we're easy to persuade. So this is what we've got to be on our guard against. As difficult as it is, we've got to keep our thoughts in order. I say we have to expose this racket for what it is and save the earth from destruction by real threats that it faces. And some people have sent me some material, for example. Now, what's interesting is someone sent some photographs of burnt out cars in Greece. And what's really interesting is they are sitting on the side of a street. On the side, they're sitting on a street and they're completely burnt out, these cars. And next to them are intact houses. This reminds me of Dr. Judy Wood and what she discovered about 9/11. You know about the half-burnt police car? If you watch Andrew Johnson's lectures on that, they're very interesting. So maybe there's actually been an element of this at work in the various propaganda, the heatwave porn that I've been talking about. They've actually been faking stuff, which again would add to the possibility that we're looking at an artificially engineered heatwave here. And there's also, someone sent me links to this film, right? There's this horror movie called Autopsy. It's an Italian horror movie from the 70s. And I was watching through it, and it's actually really scary. It's a bit Romero-esque because you have this, a lot of the action takes place in a pathology unit, a pathology study center. So you have like these hence the title, these pathology rooms where they're cutting up dead bodies, where they're examining dead bodies on slabs. And some of these bodies come to life. They come to life like zombies in this film, this Italian film called Autopsy. And I don't know, there's no subtitles on it. I couldn't actually understand it, but it is out there on YouTube somewhere. And I tell you what, it was really scary. And there's a person at my hospital, actually, in my hospital I used to know, who actually worked in there, which I didn't like. He was a bit of a dickhead. And so I remember watching that thinking, I wish that would happen at my hospital, and I was there to see it, so that this arsehole would shit his pants. Oh, anyway, I'll come to your questions now. I'll just come to your questions and your comments. Right, where are we? Right then, just saying hello to everyone who's turned up. Yeah, so where did I get to? Mickey Tolman says, do I have a degree in meteorology? No, I don't. So that's simply that. Paul W says it's cloudy in Southport. Hi, Paul. I hope you get well. Southport, again, we're heading in the right direction. So it seems to be moving from the west to the east, which is something. We haven't got any here. It's HAARP in Oregon, says Mickey Tolman. No, Alaska. Well, there's several HAARP facilities. There's two big ones. There's a massive one in Alaska and another big one in Norway. In northern Norway, so they're located as close to the North Pole as possible, which is important for the effect. But there are smaller HAARP facilities around the world. There's one in West Wales. David, 1976 was hot. Yes, for people who remember it, it was incredibly hot. It was, I say, 32 degrees plus. I think that's about 93 Fahrenheit for several weeks on end. Vestel, hi Vestel. Mel O'Brien, hello. It's raining in West Cork. A degree. I have a 30 degrees here. Oh, yes. Yeah. Richard Kinzet, I hope you're over the attack of the vapors. I am now, Richard. I actually recovered quickly. I was able to walk home, but I didn't do any more work for this person. I'm going to go back there and finish the job at another time. Lime Spectator. Someone mentioned to me this going to last well into August. I'm going to Iceland, if that is true. Yeah. Well, I actually saw this newspaper headline a little while earlier saying heat wave could last through August. This was about a week ago. Now, that's technically true. These heat wave ridges of high pressure can be very stable, and they can last for several weeks. That is technically true. But the thing about it is they were talking about it as if they were stating something everybody knows, but there's no signs that it's going to. I mean, the thing about it is if you go to the Met Office and you look for their forecast, they give you like the next day or sometimes the day after. And after that, you have to go to the long-term forecast, which only goes for 10 days. They only actually make predictions up to 10 days. And then at the end, by the end of that, they're hedging their bets enormously. You can tell they're making Barnum statements. Well, it sort of might get a bit warmer here, it might get a bit colder here. And just generally, they're weighing up the odds. And they're almost sounding like they're trying to pretend they know what's going to happen when they don't know. Truth of the matter is, weather is chaotic. We don't know. It could last longer. I mean, it's raining now. It could go back to the heat wave after, or this could be the end of the heat wave. We just don't know. We just know by the end of the end of the season, the end of summer, then the weather changes, and that's climactic. But there's no way of predicting, and especially unless of course this is an artificial heat wave. David, East Anglia, 46 days, no rain. I know, same here. It's literally not rained since about early to mid-June. Master weather, says Mel O'Brien. A chemtrails master the weather. Yeah, that is. Mickey Tomlin, Ben knows his stuff. I do try, Mickey. I try to do as much research as I can. Tina Silva says geoengineering. Yes, Mickey Tomlin. Ben, we know. Get to the point. That must have been when I was rambling a bit. Richard Kinzer, the sun is hot. Topless woman. Oh, well, it does have its advantages, Richard, yes. Male, immigrants bring global warming. Express Nibiru. Immigrants bring global warming. Oh, my goodness. Next, they'll be blaming it on the Russians next, I'm sure. Tina Silver, the cars are melted like in the USA, but trees untouched. That's right. If you read Dr. Judy Wood's book or watch any of her lectures, you can see this. It's really incredible. It's an incredible discovery. Diego Rivera says the fires were started by man. They're not natural. Well, Diego, and sadly, people will light fires just for the hell of it because they're bloody idiots. But I mean, it could be that this again is a false flag of some kind. Lime Spec Sex, The Guardian says hot weather is capitalist. Yeah, I know the Guardian will blame everything. The Guardian is actually right online with all the others who say, we need extreme state power, as always, to control everything. John Cutters, no, here we go. Mel O'Brien. The experts on climate change never mention the biggest influence on our climate, the sun. That's right. Well, Piers Corbyn does. Piers Corbyn, who is the brother of old Jeremy, is a really, really interesting forecaster. Is what he comes out with. I saw a lecture of his once at the Kent Freedom Movement. David says 49 days, Brooms Barn, no rain in Suffolk. It's a new record. All right. Oh dear. That's the Suffolk Savannah they're talking about. That's it. Tina Silver says Menopause B. Paul W. Last night on Channel 5 was the program. At one point, they actually said Dust Bowl Britain. It could be like, well, Dust Bowls are not just a product of climate, they're a product of intensive farming. The first Dust Bowl actually happened around about 1930 in the big farmlands in the United States. It was caused by their overuse of the soil. The soil was depleted, it broke down. So when weather got hot, it just dried up and turned into dust. And that was known as the Dust Bowl. And basically, a lot of that farm had to be left fallow to allow the soil to recover for several years, I think. But it really did ruin the farming industry there. Mickey Tolman, the gas pipe broke. Oh, Mickey, you've been following me on Facebook, haven't you? Yes. Yes, I wasn't going to mention that because I didn't know how many of you actually follow me on Facebook. But I did mention that it was the same day, it was Wednesday. I actually broke someone's gas pipe the same day. It wasn't in the same garden. It was happened a couple of hours earlier. But I was actually digging a pond because someone wanted a hole for a pond. They're going to put a pond liner in. And so I started digging down. I heard this crack, and I thought, "Oh dear, what's that?" I was using a fork just to break up the soil, and I was going, and I heard a crack, and then I heard this what sounded like water rushing. I thought I'd broken a water pipe, which is weird. I was only about 2 feet down. I wasn't very deep, but there was a water pipe. And then I smelt the gas, and I realised it's not. It's actually gas. It's not water. Gaffer Gadget says, get a boonie hat with a neck cover. I wear them. Saves me from the heat stroke. Is that like a Legionnaire's hat? I never heard the phrase boonie hat. Oh bloody hell. It keeps slipping. Oh, here we go. John Cutter says, I'll try that again. Reckon they're playing with harp. Yeah, something like that. Paul W. Heatwave. Scorched Britain, it was called. Yeah. They come up with these headlines, especially in the tabloid press. They really do. DJ B2 says, I had a dizzy spell at 11:30 on Thursday. That's yesterday. Well, I hope you're feeling better now, DJ. David, 55 days is a UK record. Right. Well, we can't be far off that in some places. Oh, Mickey Tom and Cheltenham. What's that been like? Gillespie was dizzy, says Neptune Returns. UK record with no rain, 55 days. Mickey Thomas says, how old am I? I'm not going to say how old I am. Because people just... I wrote an article about this. People are just too... They start lumping assumptions onto you and things like that, you know. Paul W. Fats was good at dominoes. Fats Domino, yeah. Bennis. I'm taking questions now. Tina Silver, the eclipse tonight could trigger a heat wave. Could it, Tina? How would that work? 'Cause it's the moon. John Cutter. No. Man-made climate change. All right. Edwardian lady, hello. You're having torrential rain in Cornwall at the moment. Oh, you are lucky. I want some of it here. Mickey Tolman, you're repeating yourself. Who is? Me? Yeah, Lime Specs. I agree. She's lucky. Paul W., you had your rain in Southport. I'm pleased. I really am. Diego Rivera says the government are hyping the weather, naming ordinary storms, Yes. They've started naming storms, maritime storms in autumn and winter time now have names. Have you noticed that? They only ever used to do that for hurricanes. Now they're doing it for the storms. Give weather warnings nearly every day. Yeah. A big reason for warm cities is concrete and lack of trees. Yeah, that's right. The lack of soil soaks things up. Big cities. London is always hotter than everywhere else. DJ Beecher, the Atlantic conveyor is clogged up with plastic. Yeah, that's responsible for a lot of North European climate. It actually keeps us reasonably warm. If it went away, it would actually get about 5 or 6 degrees colder. We'd have some areas would end up with a subarctic climate, but the Atlantic conveyor is like it's basically hot seas from the Gulf of Mexico. But there's plastic rubbish everywhere. That's true. Yeah. Davis, showers on the Isle of Wight. Everyone's getting it except many Arab countries are sunny. Yeah. Paul W. Yes, they're also Shiite. Oh, you're having to talk about the Muslim. I thought you meant sunny weather. About the Muslim Shiite Islam, Sunnite Islam. Yeah. This has made me think, says Mr. MT. Hello, Mr. MT. But this is a freak. Wait till it's October and it fucking pisses down for days and we'll moan about it. Yeah, of course. That's the thing, MT. The grass is always greener on the other side, or it's always dry and parched on the other side. We crave nice warm summer days. When now we just want to get it over with. We just don't want it. And unfortunately, because of our climate, it's very rarely just right. It's always, as Alf Garnett was moaning, it's always too hot or too cold, isn't it? It's never a nice median in the middle. And I'm glad it's still raining where you are, Paul, in Southport. Good. A lot of people getting rain. See, everyone's getting rain except Oxford at the moment. Anthony Morn, that's why they've not been to the moon. Can't get through the Van Allen belt. They would have. Yeah, well, Anthony, if you haven't already, check out Marcus Allen's presentation on Dreaming Saucers, or check out my panel of radio interviews with him. He talks about that. David, Portsmouth UFO above the Spinnaker Tower, slow speed. Oh, I'll check that out, David. Thanks. Lime Specs, hope that's on the way. South a bit, we need some in Cheshire. That's right. Well, that's it. I think hopefully you're close enough there, Lime Specs, because that's only just south of Southport. Range at Newbury, says Tina. All right. Nothing, not a drip where we're in Oxford. I'm just looking out the window. Not a drop. Right. HARP has nothing to do with it, says Mickey Tolman. Well, it might do. Peter Steins, hi, how you doing? Black chemtrails at night, Tina. Well, that's, if you're getting lots of chemtrails at night, Tina, that could be a sign of an attempt to warm the environment. Mickey Tolman, I'm sorry, Ben, but you're wrong about chemtrails. I don't think I am. I think, Mickey, chemtrails have many different there's many maybe different sorts of chemtrails. They have different purposes. Did you see my Morgellons video a couple of weeks ago? I go into it in more detail there. Mickey Tolman, why would the NWO want to pollute their own air supply? They're not polluting their own air supply. They have underground bases to go to. Paul W. Reckon it'll be with you. Yeah, hope so, guys. I really do. Where are we? Walter Dewan. Hi, Walter. It began 4:21 a.m. Did it? Oh, good. Are you in Britain, Walter? Good. I'm pleased for you. The media will complain of too much rain soon. Will Diego Rivera? Because, well, the thing is, because it's falling onto dry ground, a lot of it will end up flash flooding because it can't soak in. It'll take prolonged rain to moisten up the land before rain can be absorbed properly. Sina Silva, Hurricane Erin, yes. That's another part of Dr. Judy Wood's work. I do recommend her investigations to Andrew Johnson's as well. Mel O'Brien, Thomas Sheridan calls NWO people suicidal nihilists. Anyway, they're under instructions from above. Yeah, Thomas is very interesting in his analysis of the mindset of the powers that be, and it must be a quite harrowing thing to study, and I think it's taken its toll on him, quite frankly. But yeah, he has created a very disturbing, but I think very accurate and necessary portrait into actually how those things, whether they're reptilians or whatever they are, think. They're certainly not human. You see, people say they're not. They can't. Oh, they're human, Ben. Don't be silly. Well, no, humans don't think like that. Gavloft, hello, Gavloft. I screamed for over 15 minutes earlier. It was so hot. No, don't scream too much because that'll just make you hotter. Diego Rivera. They said there will be mass flooding by now, according to global warming. It's not happened. Well, that's the thing, Diego Rivera. When AGW first came about, anthropogenic global warming, this was in the late 1970s, just after they've been saying for many, many years that we were going to have another ice age because temperatures have been falling from around about 1940. And by about 1970, everyone was thinking, if this goes on, by the end of the century, we're going to be living in an ice age. And then they came up with AGW. Maybe by then they worked out how they could use it as a way of controlling the economy and things like that. But they made a lot of predictions. They said, I remember seeing one actually when I was a kid that said by the year 2000, southern Scotland would have the same temperature as northern France. It would have the same climate as northern France by the year 2000. That was a prediction made in the mid-1980s. Well, it doesn't. Go to northern France and go to southern Scotland. You'll see the difference. There's a massive difference in temperature and everything. So this is why I think they may have a plan to actually carry out this environmental false flag, to raise the Earth's temperature using climate control methods. Anthony Morn says, I hear Prince was murdered by the CIA because some of the knowledge he'd come open fact. We don't hear that on mainstream news and newspapers. It's really dangerous, though, Ben. Well, Anthony, Prince was a very private man, and he didn't talk much to the media. He did maybe one or two interviews. Now, I remember the first interview he ever gave, and it was like a massive sensation because the silent man of soul is going to actually break his silence, and all the newspaper reports were piling into the studio, and the people who won the contract, it was a massive exclusive. Anyway, he actually talks about chemtrails in this interview. Nice one, Prince. Rest in peace, mate. Oh, blimey. Where are we? Right. UFO. David's just talking about his UFO video in Portsmouth. What are you drinking, Ben? Says Peter Stein. It looks refreshing. It's orange squash. I know I don't worry. Think about the chemicals and things. I've stopped worrying about chemicals and stuff like that. I can't afford the really pure stuff. All right, it's too expensive. So I mean, there's some things I worry about in this world, and there's some things I just don't, because it's just I can't keep worrying about everything. Where are we? Mickey Tolman says, I love Cox, Dawkins, and Rational Wiki. Oh wow, you want an argument, don't you, Mickey? Yeah. I mean, that's just something you're going to say. That's something people say just because they want an argument, and they know that I go. You've seen my videos where I lay into all three of those things. Mountain one. Anyone remember Ace Lager? I don't. I was too young to drink in those days. Where are we? Lime Specs is put some rain cloud. 3 rain cloud icons. on his or her box, which means, well, Lime Specs, I'm glad you're getting some rain. Ben has become a weatherman, the new Michael Fish. Yes. Although a lady phoned me today and told me there's a hurricane coming, but yeah, don't worry. No one will ever let him down. No one will ever let him forget that, will they? Hark at Aldridge Pryor. Hark at Aldridge Pryor, the hopeless liar. Anthony Morn says, climate change is one big con, but millions of people genuinely believe it. I know. It's outrageous. Yes, but I know, Anthony, but you see, millions of people believe 9/11 was done by 19 guys with hardware tools. Millions of people believe that there's no such things as UFOs and it's all rubbish. Millions of people believe that the only people who have any interest in the paranormal are loonies, and there's just nothing to it. You see, this is what I had to deal with when I became a UFO paracon person. When I was red-pilled, as they say. I suddenly realized, but I was I knew that what I now believed made more sense logically, but I also had to accept the fact that I was in a minority, and to me that was a difficult thing to deal with. To think, well, I am. This is true. What I mean, it's logically true, but so why do so few people believe it? Why do so few people understand it? Excuse me. All right. Tina Silver says, no travel tax on private planes or racehorses. No, that's it, Tina. I mean, look at Al Gore. He's one of the biggest carbonists in the world. He goes everywhere on his huge jet. He owns an oil company, for goodness sake. He has a yacht. What does Mog think, says Mickey Tolman? I don't know. I haven't asked him. Peter Steins is getting, there's all kinds of weather icons Peter Steins has put up. Hugo Rune, hello, how are you? Hugo Rune has joined us. Pray silence for Hugo Rune. Brian, who's a pretty boy then, Cox, is an ignorant tosser. He cannot even identify dark matter, dark energy. Absolutely. He's an utterly contemptible person. I can't stand him. He's this horrid little media soy boy who smiles brightly and says, and he goes, I'm so clever, that's why the BBC get me to talk about things I know nothing about. Oh, don't get me started on bloody Cox, please. Neptune returns. He's talking to David. Hi, Sorenable. Thanks for joining us. Peter Steins is getting more and more rain in according to the icons. Tina said, I wish Kev Baker would do subtitles because that's right, he talks like that, doesn't he? What happened there? Oh, here we go. Right, it just flicked. It just keeps flicking around like this. The chat because I have to scroll up because you guys are posting comments when I'm doing the lead off. I just have to scroll up and then it keeps flicking back again. Oh, where are we? Don't fart, too much carbon emissions, says Diego Rivera. It's funny you should say that, but have you heard of the fart tax? It's not on humans yet, but it is on animals, on farm animals. They say that particularly cattle apparently release a lot of gas. This gas is called methane hydrates, and they are actually and they actually come out of you when you fart. That's what comes out of you when you fart. And these methane hydrates are apparently a greenhouse gas, and intensive farming is producing a lot of extra methane hydrates, which is affecting the climate, apparently. So farmers have actually been charged under the IPCC, International Panel on Climate Change. They've been charged for their use of cows. Mickey Tolman, your blood pressure must be getting longer. Big penis, not blood pressure, you dirty young man. Oh, young man. I don't know what you're talking about, Matt. I don't know what you're talking about there, Mickey. Diego's a new Jeremy Paxman. Yes. I'm the new Michael Fish. Jeremy Tax. Oh, right. Oh. I haven't shared this on social media. Not to worry. It'll be up there soon. A lot of you found it anyway. It's worth doing, actually. How do I do this? Here we go. Right. I'm just going to share this on social media, which I should have done bloody ages ago, and I didn't. I'll put it on Twitter as well. There we go. But sorry, guys, if for those of you, I apologise for those of you who I didn't send, who are joining me now a little bit late in the live stream because I didn't post the notices to social media. So sorry about that. Here we go. Mel O'Brien. Now that Hawking is dead, they need someone like Cox to propagate their lies. The Michelson-Morley experiments proved that the speed of light cannot be outcalculated, but that's covered up. Yeah. Well, that's funny. I'm sure Hugo Rune will have something to say about that. But yeah, I mean, there's an article in Nexus about the Michelson-Morley experiment, about how it was, contrary to popular belief, which is basically built around the rise of Einstein and relativity. The Michelson-Morley experiment was repeated several times, and some of them did get different results from Michelson-Morley, which proves that there is an ether, and that the speed of light there varies as it passes through the ether. There's a couple of guys who now dealing with the variable speed of light. Someone called João Maguejo. I recommend the documentary Einstein's Biggest Blunder. Tina Salva says, what about the carbon dioxide shortage during the World Cup? Was there a carbon dioxide shortage then? I don't know about that. What do you mean, Tina? Anthony Morn says, the Bilderberg cooperation is real. Yeah, New World Order fact, yes. But we don't get to hear about it, Ben. Yeah, it basically, they're keeping it secret. So we have to, a lot of what I talk about and what we do is guesswork, and I have to admit that. And I've lost my place again. It's simply because the way this stupid bloody thing works. I have to go scroll back now. Now I don't know what to do about this. It's really stupid. Right, now we've got Hawking being dead. That's it, right. David says, right, David's just talking to Neptune Returns. Greece was arson, says Mickey Tolman. That's funny because someone else said that earlier. Romero calculated the speed of light in the 18th century. Well, George A. Romero, the zombie film director. Paul, I think you're combining two different things I was talking about there. Mel O'Brien, gravity is not constant. Einstein's theory of relativity is wrong because C cannot be calculated. But it's funny, but if you read Rupert Sheldrake's book, The Science Delusion, it's a really, really good book, which the American publisher didn't have the guts to go with the controversial title, and they called it Science Set Free because they didn't want to offend Dawkins. Fuck Dawkins. Who cares? If he can't take criticism, which he can't, is he the tough shit. But Dawkins is horrible actually, because if you write about, what has he said? And never was a dog praised so much by their fleas. That's what he says. Whenever someone writes anything, a book or something contradicting him, he reduces them to the level of parasites. What a dickhead! And what he said about the EU is unforgivable. I'm going off on a tangent here, but basically, what Sheldrake said was that there is actually a laboratory. The speed of light is calculated regularly. It's measured continuously, every so often, by a laboratory which is in West London. It's in Teddington, West London. And he said that it keeps varying. They keep getting different results, even though they have a very, very precise method. They have a very precise instrument, which they shouldn't be getting these varied results. They're trying to work out whether they can improve the precision or not. And they think they just put it down to a fault in the machine, because they have to, don't they? But they can't find what the fault is. Right. Hugo Rune. Yeah, I thought you'd say that. Yes, Hugo. I would happily challenge Professor Cox on that. Good. I'd love to see a debate between you two, but Cox wouldn't do it, because Cox would go, oh no, I don't debate with novice. More about arson. Anyone seen La Cabina, says Mickey Tolman. I don't know. And Mel O'Brien, yes, it's exactly it. The speed of light is constantly changing, and this is really, really weird. Okay. Right, here we go. Let me just... Right. Hemorrhoids in my bum. Hemorrhoids in my bum. Hemorrhoids in my bum. Is that real? Ben, if you think 9/11 was caused by laser beams, the fists that get shoved up your collapsed rectum must have gone so far they hit your brain You bowling ball looking cunt. I'm going to remove that comment, obviously, because that's rude. But firstly, I've got to correct you. Hemorrhoids in my bum. But I never did I say that 9/11 was caused by laser beams. Laser beams are essentially, it's the light emission stimulated emission of radiation, light amplification emitted stimulation of radiation. That's not what caused 9/11. That's essentially electromagnetic beam. Dr. Judy Wood has never said that. The only people who say she said that are the people who don't like her and can't prove her wrong. So they just call her names and they say stupid pieces of rhetoric about her work. Another one is Star Trek weaponry. Again, that's a really ridiculous thing to say. Loads of rain at the west of Ireland, says Neptune Returns. I'm pleased. Right, Diego Rivera says, Ben, why have we done? Ben, I have done a Richard D. Hall spoof on my channel. Oh, check that out, Diego, because, well, Richard, I don't think Richard would like it because he doesn't like people taking the mickey out of him. But I'm sure I will enjoy it because I actually have a sense of humor still. So he seems to have lost his. Although maybe I've misjudged him and he may actually like it. But, I like... Because, I mean, I can even laugh at jokes at my own expense. I know you've done a couple of those. Emperor Mong. Hello, Emperor Mong. I'm on the side of a hill trying to see the blood moon. All right. Well, keep looking, Emperor. I hope you have a clear sky. Diego Rivera's. All right. That's right. You've done the Richard D. Hall spoof. Okay. Hemorrhoids in me bum. Cunt. I know you are. Just remove that. Mickey Tolman says, Ben, would you sing at my funeral? Yes, I would, Mickey. I would sing Another One Bites the Dust by Queen. See if you have a sense of humour. Peter Steins, I'm drinking orange squash. Mickey, well, where are we? Mickey Tolman says, I can't stand John Lamping. Lampig, I don't know who that is. Unite Planet, hello! Unite Planet, watch Unite Planet's channel, because they've just got some videos of me there. Those guys, they came all the way to Oxford, those two guys, and they interviewed me. It's a really, really good set of videos. And they've interviewed other people like Andrew Johnson and Neil Sanders and a couple of other people. So do check out Unite Planet's channel. They've got some brilliant videos on there. If you want to know about Dr. Judy Wood, which has come up in this particular live stream, then go to Unite Planet and watch the interviews with Andrew Johnson. Anthony Morn says, in 1976, I was only 8. I remember the road melting. Yes, that's right. It did. There's photographs of it and that. MS1. Hi, MS1. On and off rain in southwest London. Yeah. Mal O'Brien, I'm a musician. I don't do weddings or funerals. Too depressing. Do you find weddings and funerals equally depressing? You cynic. No hosepipe ban yet, says MS1. Well, so far we haven't had one in Oxford. I mean, I'm surprised actually. Basically, because I have to use hosepipes when I'm working, and no one's told me not to yet. None of my clients have told me not to. Drought. Oh yeah, you. Ireland, I think, Peter, has like a Neptune Returns will probably confirm this. Has a milder climate than Britain. Your winters tend to be milder, warmer. Summers tend to be cooler. But you've had like hot weather in Ireland too, haven't you? Mickey Tolman. Corbyn's fault. Oh, is that right? Corbyn's another one who gets blamed for everything, isn't it? Tina Silver. They've got to cook their souvlaki over a live flame. Is that a Greek thing? Vrilonora, hello. Vrilonora listens to Hapanwo Radio and is now at Hapanwo TV Watcher too. Where are we? Diego Rivera. Okay. Let's talk about UFOs. I think Diego Rivera's in a conversation now with Neptune Returns and David. Hanafi Din, hello. It's raining buckets where you are, Hanafi. Where's that? Because if it's anywhere near me, I'll be pleased. Clive Albert, bake the earth and then bring on a massive amount of rain, flooding. That's true. They've warned flash flooding because the ground's too hard to absorb it. Hi, Ben. Hi, Ben, mate. Say hi to Roger, please. That's HQcom. Hello, Roger. I don't know who's... Are you Roger? Or is that someone else? Robbie Diablo. Hello. As soon as you mentioned rain, it started pissing down here for the first time in ages. I'm serious. Oh, maybe it's just me talking about it, does it? Maybe we should do a rain dance. Come on, rain, for goodness sake. Mr. MT says the Guardian Independent will blame anyone who voted Brexit. I know they do. That's right. Project Fear. Villanora, you voted Brexit. Good for you. And you love the weather. The Guardian's Israeli front, said Neptune Returns. I'll tell you what, I reckon it bloody well is, because Mossad are so widespread around the world. And they have their own people there. They really do. Tina Silver said the film Chinatown is about how water was diverted from farmland to water. Orange Grove owned by rich people. Oh, I've not seen that, Tina. To go back to what Neptune Returns says, have the Guardian reported on the attack in Gaza? No. And hemorrhoids in my bum has just repeated what they said earlier, and I'm just going to delete that because it's just stupid and rude. Right. Villanora has just put up a frog symbol. Villanora, are you in Kekistan by any chance? Peter Stein's island is not so much green. I'm sorry that the Emerald Isle, Peter, is not emerald at the moment, but hopefully it will be again soon. Praise Kek, says Villanora. He is. Villanora is in Kekistan. Yeah. Tina Silver, hemorrhoids in my bum. Ben didn't mention laser beams. You did. Thank you, Tina. That's absolutely right. Whenever you are dealing with Dr. Judy Wood and her work, and someone says something like laser beams from space or Star Trek weaponry, they are idiots, and they are not interested in having a conversation, and there is no conversation to be had for them. Paul W. All praise Kekistan. Yes, it's okay to be white. My goodness, we're getting controversial, aren't we? Hugo Rune says the sun is not the major factor. The sun is driven by the dark stuff that Cox cannot identify. That's funny, yeah, because Hugo, I actually spoke privately to Hugo about this, but I know you were interested in Wal Thornhill and what he says, because that's very interesting. June the 6th was your last rain, HQ. You're in Somerset. I know, it's about the same for us. Pain and death to the New World Order. Hemorrhoids is talking out of his arse. He certainly is. I think I know who Hemorrhoids in my bum is, actually. I mean, a couple more posts and I'll be able to confirm it and then ban him. Limespec says, I assumed you were 44 as your email ends in 74. That's Limespec. No, that 74 is random. I mean, that's my public email. Yeah, it's got nothing to do with my age. I just chose a random number. Gaffer Gadget, hello. A Shillington hoe is a lot better than a fork for breaking up dirt. It will save you a lot of work and time. It's lighter than a matlock battock. Right, I'm not sure, but I mean, I've used hoes before, but I'll look one of those up, Gaffer. But I mean, I don't actually own my own tools. I use the ones the client provides. Diego Rivera, orbs. Okay, yeah, okay. Mel O'Brien says, hemorrhoids, rectum. Do I detect some sort of obsession? Yes, I think you do, Mel. I think the hemorrhoids in my bum must be French. Here we go. David Schultz. Hello, David. And are you David Schultz from Connecticut? Or I think you mentioned where you were last time. Volcanic activity through the world is not helping. Yeah, do you know it's volcanic activity is actually, there's a lot more volcanoes that talking about. I know the Yellowstone super volcano is rumbling again. It was a couple of months ago. There's no sign that it's about to erupt, but it is becoming more active. If it did erupt, there'd be absolute hell to pay. Millions of people would die because it would obliterate everything for 1,000 miles around it, and it would lower the temperature of the Earth by 10 degrees, and we'd all freeze. I think, and then there would be an ice age that would last for a century if that happened. But yeah, I mean, because ironically, volcanoes actually are very hot, of course, but they actually make the world colder. Mickey Tolman, what chemicals are in chemtrails? Mickey, watch my recent video, the Morgellons test. And yes, Neptune shows aluminium, borium, strontium, yes, and many other things as well. Mickey Tolman says, The Room by Hubert Selby Jr., most disturbing book ever written. I've not read that. What's it about? Yeah, Mal, the chemtrail debris It's quite something. I talk about this in my Morgellons video. Mass flooding in Japan, says David Schultz. See, they may have had rain now for the first time, and it's on dry ground, so the rain's not flooding. You can't absorb the water. You need soil. You need actually active soil to absorb the water. Have I read the first edition of Selby's Last Exit to Brooklyn? Right. Not familiar with this author. Robbie Diablo says, I took my mum's record collection. A lot of Dusty Springfield in there. That was my dustification moment. Mr. MDR Club says, hello, I'm French. Oh, well, I won't hold it against you. Just don't go on about hemorrhoids and things like that and rectums, because I know what you frogs are like. Here we go. Edwardian Lady. I saw a plane a few weeks ago with black trails behind it in front of it. Very sinister. Yeah, chemtrails do vary in color. I mean, you've got to be careful, though, Edwardian Lady, because sometimes the chemtrails cast clouds. They cast a shadow on the lower clouds beneath them. And that some people think those are black trails. However, some of them distinctly are black, and you can tell. They're not just shadows. Which is very interesting. Anthony Moon. New World Order. Heat surface of this flat plate. A flat plate. That's right, of course, Anthony. Yes. Wankers and bankers, yes. Ben, arrange a group rain meditation. And we can do that if you want. Should we do that now? Everyone meditate on rain. Everybody think about rain. Just imagine the rain pouring down. Imagine it pattering on the ground. And you're outside and you put your hand out. It's dripping on your hand. It's in the gutter. You hear it gurgling in the gutter deliciously. It's pattering on the leaves of the trees. Yeah, so I hope that works, Tina. Mickey Tolman, can you one day do a live stream on the day Tuesday? I have done. I think I did one on Tuesday once. But yeah, I'll try. I'll see what I do. Stop raining. Fuck, says Lime Specs. Well, it might start again, Lime Specs. Diego Rivera, because the world is more populated as news media, we get weather events from around the world, so it seems that the climate is more chaotic. Yeah. Mickey Tolman, 9/11 wasn't an inside job. Well, what was it then? I mean, whoever, someone did it who has access to directed energy weapons, and that's not Al Qaeda. So maybe I'm not saying it's definitely Bush, the Bush government. I don't think Bush has the brains to do it, quite frankly, but it's somebody who is different to who we've been told. Cancer Iqbal, hi Cancer, I'm so annoyed. I have the pack of sweets with mixed flavors, and I ate all the nice flavors, and I'm left with the ugly flavors. Oh, Cancer, next maybe you can select a bag which has all the flavors you like. Creative Imaginings. It's going to rain here on the mid-north coast of New South Wales as the kookaburras have been laughing for the past few days. Mary Ray King of the Bushes. That's what they are. Mickey Tolman. Oh, look at Ben. He's so special. Thank you, darling. And Neptune Returns. Yes, Al Qaeda was invented by the CIA. McDanny, the Welsh are the true Britons. Cue Hugo Roon. I'm Welsh, so I'm pleased about that. But in a sense, like all the Welsh, English, Scots, all the Welsh, English, and Scots are actually, in racial terms, are descended from the same group of people primarily. Hans B. Beimler, hello. Make your own climate. Right, well, give me a recipe book. And Mel O'Brien's just said something in French. Right, that's clever. I did learn French at school, but Harry, hemorrhoids in my bum. I'm getting you banned. You're right. I'm just getting rid of hemorrhoids in my bum. I know who this person is. I'm just banning them. Right, so goodbye, hemorrhoids in my bum. Right, where are we? Anthony Morn says, I think something big will happen in 2020. Alien invasion? I don't know. It's all NASA, CIA, FBI. Well, Anthony, it all depends what happens, because they're going to try and get Trump out. And if he doesn't go and they don't manage to get him out, because obviously they tried to stop him being president, and then he was president. So they'll try. I don't know what they'll do. Mickey Tolman, Cox is est Magnus Ben Cunham. Is that Latin? I hope that's something rude. because whatever, if it's rude and it's about cocks, then I agree. Ronnie, cocks sucksome. I was looking for a rhyming word. How about cocksucker? Hemorrhoids on that is rude. You're gone. I've got rid of you. Let's just delete this. Delete it permanently. Right, remove. There we go. That is really cruel. You're an arsehole. You really are. You're a prick. And I know who you are. The Russians fart more than we do, so that's their fault. You know, Mel, someone's going to suggest that at some point. I bet you. Something big will happen in 2020. It could be climate change. Could be chemtrails. Well, David, that's what I'm suggesting. Yeah, all that borscht. Jolanda H. Hello from Switzerland. Hello, Jolanda. How are you? I admire you people. I admire your independent spirit. You're not joining. You don't join NATO. You're not joining the UN. You don't join the EU. You refuse to take part in manipulated wars. You refuse to sit on the UN. Well done, Switzerland. Honestly, I wish Britain was as independently minded as you guys. I mean, it'd be nice if we made chocolate at you and had cuckoo clocks and things like that. And guys with sunglasses trying to persuade you to open bank accounts. I'm going to have to bloody scroll up now because it's done its usual thing and flicked. Where is this? Hang on, there we go. MS1, my mate just rang me in tears. His wife has left him and taken his Bob Marley collection on the satellite dish. I'm very sorry to hear that, MS1. Line Specs, did anyone RDH new video and why he's done a Tommy Robinson video? I haven't seen that yet. I'll have to check that out, Line Specs. I mean, I've talked about Tommy Robinson before on this channel. I have my differences with him. I disagree with him on many things, but I don't think he should have been jailed. I think that was wrong. No woman, no sky. No. Mickey Tolman, who do you think will win the 2034 World Cup? Mickey says, Wales. Wales will win it. Tina Cox. Is Cox a sucker? He certainly bloody is. So that Cox is a sucker, yes. Check out for the damaged colders, Mickey. I don't know what that is. All right. No, in my bum is someone else, Neptune. It's a guy who's always trying to troll me. He's someone I've banned loads of times. He's basically the same person who was the Royd Freedom that I banned at the beginning. It's the same person coming back under a different name. Right, Diego. Here we go. Diego Rivera says, check out my Richard D. Hall spoof. Yay! I'll have to check that out. I will laugh at Richard even if he can't laugh at himself. What about Neil deGrasse Tyson? He's freaking awesome. You know, Neil deGrasse Tyson, I brought him up on the last video I made about Cox, actually, the one about the ghosts. As skeptics go, he's one of the nicer ones, actually. He's like a more open-minded, wider view kind of person. And he's reasonably polite and likable. So I put him in a different category to people like Dawkins and Cox. It was actually Neil deGrasse Tyson was actually presenting the show where Cox goes, let's get one thing straight. Ghosts don't exist. We know because of the Large Hadron Collider. And all that. I mean, I made a video about that, about how awful that damn program was. It was a radio show called The Infinite Monkey Cage, I think it was, or something like that. Mel O'Brien, the theory of relativity is not a scientific document. It's littered with errors. Yeah, it's gravity doesn't exist. Hugo Rune, it's electricity, isn't it? Right. Anthony, I heard Stephen Hawking was murdered by the Illuminati. Well, there's maybe more than one Stephen Hawking, Anthony. Have you seen Richard D. Hall's program where he talks about the different Stephen Hawkings? Because the thing is, the disease he had, Lou Gehrig's disease, he shouldn't have lasted as long as he did. Nowhere near. Because people with that, they usually die within 5 years. And he looks different in several of the videos too. A very interesting thing. All right. Unite Planet says, oh, bless you, Ben, for the plug. You're welcome, Unite Planet, and thank you very much. And I'd love to come back. Yes. Love to come back on your channel and keep up the good work. Mel O'Brien, there was no Big Bang either. We live in an electric plasma universe. Well, that's interesting because that thing, Einstein's biggest blunder, actually suggests something similar. David, the heat wave could be over and arranged for 55 days. I'd be absolutely delighted if it was. I really would. It really would. Hi, Digdo. How are you? Hi, Bonto Max. I hope you're all right. I'm not going there, if you don't mind. Creative Imaginings. Oh, Ben, I found out yesterday here in New South Wales we have a UFO research organisation I joined. I hope to get some good info from them. Hey, well done, Creative Imaginings. Hope you find out some interesting things. Because it's getting, you make friends as well, which is nice. You actually get to meet people, which is so difficult to do. There are groups near me. There's the High Wycombe Paranormal Group, which is really the closest group of people I meet physically. I used to help run a group actually here in Oxford, and people lost interest and it went away, so I just closed it up. Yeah, I thought you'd say that, Hugo Rune, about the black holes and that. Yeah. Headwork, hello. My plants are suffering, and dumbass landscapers cut in the grass. Yeah. Let's have a hybrid Woo Skep conference in Lowestoft because it's the most easterly place ever, says Mickey Thompson. Yeah, that's a great idea. I've actually been to one of those rare occasions where you have like skeptics and non-skeptics get together. And it was in 2011. It was at Conway Hall where Mayor Hillman did his climate change rant. And it was just all to do with conspiracy theories. They had a conspiracy theory day at Conway Hall. It was really good. Really enjoyed it. Mickey Tolman says gum thimble shoot. I don't know who you're talking to there. I'm glad your plants are all right, Hugo Rune. Good crop. Oh, cool. I won't ask what you're growing. Nikki T, hello. Greetings from Sweden. You do grow. Thank you, Nikki. Much appreciated. Diego Rivera is talking about UFO sightings. Mel O'Brien is talking about black holes. Oh, right. You can't legally put them in soil. What's that? Oh, that was a housing association. They're draconian, they are. Spoon seeks flag sounds odd. So does Baked Alaska. Shriveled. Honestly, laser beams from space, Craig. If you say that to people, you can say that as a joke to people because they'll know you're just having a laugh. Mickey Tolman, how is neck colostomy? Well, if you're going to... I think I know who you mean. He was okay last time I spoke to him, which was a couple of weeks ago. Oh, you missed cholesterol. Neptune turn. Ben is 19. No, 19. I'm not. I was 19 once. I was a complete idiot. If I could meet my 19-year-old self, I'd slap him around the face and tell him to stop being such a fool. Yeah. The thermite sniffers cannot answer the DEDU questions. That's right. Unite Planet. David, 40 moment stills. Yeah, well, I'll check out your channel, David, and check out the videos. You've put Bigfoot drives a UFO, says Neptune Returns. Well, funny enough, there have been Bigfoot-like aliens associated with UFOs, like at the 1965 Presque Isle sighting. Mickey Tolman, do I know the mental age of my brain? No. Is that separate from your actual age? Most UFOs are military. Well, it depends. I mean, anything is unidentified you see flying in the sky is a UFO. And that could be an unusual aircraft that's perhaps an experimental spy plane or something. Yeah. Taxman, first band I was in. You were in a band called Taxman? I bet people were scared of you. Simon Jandrell, how close are we to the one world government? Well, I don't know. It seems like we've been getting close, but things have been, I'm glad to say things seem to be not all going all the way they want it. And I mean, I say more about that on the stream I did about QAnon. Mickey Thomason, what's the capital of Libya? Tripoli. Yes. Oh, everyone else was saying Tripoli. Yeah. It's raining, says TK. Oh, TK, I'm glad. It seems to be raining everywhere except in Oxford. Isn't that typical? I was sad when we get snow in winter. It seems to snow everywhere but Oxford. And now it's raining everywhere but Oxford. TK says, I hear 9/11 truth is over. Well, unfortunately, TK, like much of the rest of the truth movement, it has discredited itself in many, many ways. And this is a real sad thing. This is what I said. I brought this up on my live stream about QAnon, which I think was the most recent one, I think, that basically I hope the QAnon stuff is real, because if it's not, we've had it. We're finished, because the truth movement has failed. It's totally failed. It's, you look at what's going on now. It's just all endless infighting. That's all you get, is endless infighting, and it's hopeless. And I don't know what to do. If all people can do is bicker over petty personal matters when we're staring down at the New World Order, I don't know what to do. I blocked someone else on Facebook today, actually, because I found out this person unfriended me. Someone I've worked with a couple of times, and I used to respect. And this person had unfriended me, and I know what it was. It was over some stupid, meaningless, irrelevant issue. And I just said, look, why have you done this? And I said, I know it must be over this. Well, I've had enough. I don't want you doing this to being in my life. If you're going to do this, so I blocked them. There is no longer a 9/11 truth movement. Well, unfortunately, I'm just going to go. Oh, I've lost my bloody pace again. It just keeps moving me. The actual. Where are we? There's no longer a 9/11 truth movement. Well, there are some people like Andrew Johnson who are working to try and keep things. They're trying to promote the real story, the scientific study. There's a large number of other people who are thermitically correct, who are doing their thing as well, and they generally they're being quite belligerent to people like Dr. Judy Wood. And I've got into arguments with these people. I've been blocked and things like that. And it's pretty awful that way. The 9/11 truth wasn't a complete waste of time, TK. There was I did think some good came out of it. MS1, I found your radio show the other day with Kev Baker. Great show. I'm glad you like that, MS. It's my first show with Kev Baker. Is this the one when I was on his show, or the one where he was on mine? Because I've been on his show loads of times, but he was on my show a couple of weeks ago. The truth movement has accomplished now. Well, TK, the truth movement has accomplished a lot, but then it's almost like they've just dropped everything. And I feel they're just running around in disarray now, infighting. It's just the whole thing. The most popular and most common activity now in the truth movement is infighting, and the vast bulk of those who don't do infighting just tolerate and appease the infighters, and they just kiss their asses and they like their comments and things like that. And I can't be a part of this. The last 2 years have been enormously disappointing. David, why does Ben get the brain dead on here? What's that? Tina Seward, RDH talked about another Tommy, not Tommy Robinson. Oh, right, I've not seen it, actually. But I have to check that out. Relish 6, do I like getting fisted? Get fisted yourself, you twat. Let's get rid of that. Ben spends his time to chat about interesting subjects. Free Tommy Robinson. I do think Tommy Robinson should be freed. I do. TK, yes. You get the trolls. That's the thing. And live chats are always notoriously full of utter crap. Some people call them the Spurg chat for that reason. And that's where you get the trolls in and things like that, yeah. How does Bob Marley like his donuts? It's like jamming. Very good. Mel O'Brien, the head of our country in Ireland, worked in Brussels before returning and entering politics. Leo Varadkar, yeah. Farage said he's a yes man for Brussels. Well, unfortunately, Ireland has had a whole series of really terrible leaders. They've all been built, some of them like Fitzgerald, he was a Bilderberger, as was Hockey. And since then, they've all been appointed by Peter Sutherland. All of them. That's the thing. That's why you get such terrible leaders. MS1, do you ever get put off by the dickhead online? I hope not. As it's not a real life. These people are mugs. MS1, I don't get put off by them, no, because I'm just too used to them. I just get rid of them when they cause me trouble. I just block them and then leave and get them off the chat, and then they don't bother me. Gravity is a distortion of space by mass, says Craig Smith. Well, I think Hugo might have something else to say that. Oh, he does. Then that's it. Jolanda H says, "Let me know if you come around to open a bank account. I could show you around. Have you got a funny view of Switzerland? I like your documentary of Helen Duncan. Thanks, Jolanda. Thank you. I'd love to go to Switzerland, bring home a cuckoo clock and lots of chocolates. I'd like that." Diego Rivera, Ben, do you believe there's life on Venus? No, I don't see how there can be, unless it's something very strange, because Venus is one of the most inhospitable places in the universe. It's very hot there, high pressure atmosphere, sulfuric acid rain. It's not a place to go on holiday, let alone live. I jizz over Tesco value sandwiches. Oh God, what a name. I hope you don't live up to that name. Not that I ever eat those sandwiches. Some sad people here, said David. They're like Antifa. They like to hide their identity and they're misfits from society. Absolutely, David. Mars isn't real. Yes, Russia is fake. Oh my goodness me! Don't tell me the Earth is flat. Mel O'Brien. Anyone who claims to have an alien encounter and who isn't still shaking their head in shock and amazement didn't have one. Well, yeah, I mean, I can't imagine having an alien encounter, which I haven't had to my knowledge, although, well, that's maybe a story for another time. But I can't imagine not being shocked by that. Villanor, the flat Earth is not real. Villan, you're a flathead. Really? Robbie Diablo, I always find myself rolling my eyes when I hear the word climate change. Call me cynical. Well, I do too, yeah. The Tesco Valley Sandwiches guy says Russia's a hologram. Yeah. Gaffer Gadget. I finished a marathon today. Oh, my goodness me. And had a couple of Mars bars. Well done, Gaffer. Jolanda, you were at the Wake and Aware at Watford. Oh, did you talk somewhere about your impression from those 2 days already? Jolanda, I went to the first Awake and Aware. I haven't been to the latest one. I wanted to go for the Sunday, but I decided I was offered an extra day in Newcastle, so I stayed there. I'd like to have gone. I want to go to the next one. Virulent Aura. Climate change is real. Climate's change, yes, naturally. Very extremely sometimes. MS1. I once saw Bigfoot giving the Loch Ness Monster one. Oh my goodness me. Hugo Rune says, my friend's daughter is 28, but mentally he's 14. Well, I know some people much older than that who have much younger mental ages, Hugo Rune. A lot of the trolls, for example. David, I make my own sandwiches. Very well done. I would too if I knew someone with a name like Jizz over Tesco sandwiches. Climate change was made by Canadians, says Jizz. No, it wasn't. Canada doesn't exist. It's a hologram. Villanora, pissing down in Peterborough. Good. The rain is spreading. Can anyone see the moon yet? The blood moon. Jizz, I think everyone in Oxford is gay. I think everyone in Oxford apart from me is gay. And that includes the women. Mickey, the truth movement is it's a bit big-headed, isn't it? Yes, Mickey. The phrase truth movement we should never have adopted. Unfortunately, it kind of grew organically. But obviously, it's nothing of the sort. It's completely failed to live up to its name. Do I think the Illuminati is real? Said Reliclix. Yes, I do. And I've lost my place again. Oh, God. Creative Imagining says, the local paper had a report of a UFO flying over here in Port Macquarie. Oh, well, maybe your UFO group will know about it. Craig Smith, Flat Earth discredited. I don't think so, Craig. I think the Flat Earth was is something that didn't really bother me much. What's discredited the truth movement is the trolling. It's the infighting. That was the last nail in the coffin, and it's been several last nails. It's really been the most terrible thing imaginable. I think we could be marched off to the FEMA camps at some point, and someone will say, "No, before I go in, can I just check Facebook to see if anyone's posted the latest news about what Larry Warren is doing?" They're literally that stupid. The NWO are laughing at the truth movement. Yes, TK, they should be. James Corey Good is holding up a small candy bar in his hand. This is the closest I've ever been to a Mars. Mickey Thompson, do I respect James O'Brien from LBC? Oh, I actually listen to LBC sometimes because they have some good people on there. They have some, like Farage is always good for a bit of controversy. And I do respect Farage in some ways. And they have George Galloway on, and he's always cool. I don't agree with him on a lot, but I do think he's quite entertaining. But James O'Brien, I don't know. I think he's the presenter, isn't he? I do respect him if he's going to interview people like that. Diego Rivera, why has Trump done nothing about 9/11 if he's against the New World Order? Well, I think that may be connected to the QAnon thing, Diego Rivera. He is doing something about 9/11. He just can't tell us yet. Villanora, yes, David Wilcock resigned from Gaia TV, and he did a big long explanation. We talked about Luciferians and things. I don't know exactly what that. I don't like Trump and Mog. This is Mickey Tolman. Yeah. TK, the truth movement have blocked each other out of existence. They have. They're either fighting each other or they're just blocking and unfriending, and very, very cohesive working teams have fallen apart. The guy I blocked today is someone I really respected, and I actually did some work with, some really, really good work. But it's just he caught shield fever, and that was it. Once someone does that, there's no help for them. It's like you're trying to talk them down from that. It's really difficult. No, you can't. Relish 6. No, you can't lick my arsehole. Not right now. Villanova, bloody heck, the truth movement were all nutters years ago. I just avoided the whole lot of them. Yeah. Well, I mean, I only have I don't have much to do with any now, except those the few I can trust. Wilcock, says Mel, Wilcock claims to have come from 2072. He predicted the end of the world in 2012. Maybe he's got a new date now. New age money-making schemer. I don't think that's fair, Mel, because he'd have stayed with the Gaia TV if he was into. He would have stayed with them because he was a job for him. Akina Sanders. Hello, Akina. What was my childhood nickname? Well, none that were particularly polite. Yeah, he said he was Edgar Casey, I think. Do you know what a life-threatening disease ligma is? I've never heard of it. Help, the Russians hack my computer. Oh, right. So that explains why you're talking such crap. Mickey Thomason, I got an interview for a portering job tomorrow as a supervisor. Oh, you're going straight in as a senior. Of course, you can do that now, can't you? Well, let me know, Mickey Tolman, if you actually get the job, because then I'm going to have to salute you. I don't want to. I want to respect rank here. TK, are the aliens on the side of the New World Order or our side? It depends which aliens you mean. They're both. Where are we? Richard Greer says they're on our side. Oh, that's Stephen Greer. Yeah, he does, and I think he's wrong because he thinks all of them are. If you have a bad alien experience, it's the government. If you have a good alien experience, it's the aliens, and that's just stupid. And Kerry Cassidy did like a debate with him, which is quite good, actually. It's quite fun if you like internet blood sports. But she's actually completely right. Creative imagining. Mars looks so lovely this morning. I just wished I had a telescope to see it properly. Well, creative imaginings, I don't know if you're into astrology at all, but Mars is in conjunction with the moon right now, and it's as close to the Earth as it has been for about 100 years, I think. The Earth is not flat. 96. Oh, my goodness. Craig Smith, don't eat the Tesco coleslaw. I won't, I tell you. Not when this person is in chat. Hugo, so you no longer read my physics comments. I have been reading them, Hugo, but you've been replying to other people. So I mean, I'm not. I can reply to you, but I reply. You were in a conversation with other people. Oh God. Akima, you're from London. All right. Is it raining where you are, Akima? Forget that, says Mel O'Brien. Wilcock is Edgar Casey. All right. Finland doesn't exist, says Mickey. Yes, it does. The North Pole is gay. All right. Is there any way, is this conference going to get more sensible? Diego Rivera says, I used to buy astronomy magazine in the early 90s. They would dismiss the idea of life on their planets. They deny the existence of exoplanets. Anthony Bourne says, I believe the Earth is flat. Look at the evidence. No, it's not. It's not flat. And I've just lost my place again. I'm getting tired now. I'm getting tired. Looking forward to Capel Green, Martin. Yes, me too. I can't wait for that. That's going to be really great. Akina Sanders. Trump is a dickhead and bloody gay fuck. Watch my live stream about QAnon. Did you see Ike on Eamon Holmes' talk show? No. Someone sent me a link to that. I've not watched it yet. Villain or remote viewing. MS1 says, Ben, serious questions. Have you ever heard of a bubble or sphere type UFO? Yes. I've seen one. I've seen a white spherical UFO. Mel O'Brien, if you sail across the oceans, as I did, you'll know that the Earth is not flat. That's it. Yeah. You have this horizon effect. Ebola, yeah, I've looked into that Ebola thing. It's weird because someone went there and they said everything was normal. Yeah, the infighting is stupid, says Unite Planet. We should unite and not fight while we're busy with the globe versus the flat Earth. We're missing the big picture. We're losing our freedom gradually. I know, it's so frustrating. I'm not bothered by the flat Earth people. I really am not. They're really pretty harmless, except the ones that get angry and start abusing you because you don't believe them. There's far more pernicious people in the movement than the flat earthers. Mickey Tolman, do you think you're going to save the world? I'm going to try, Mickey. That's all I can do. If so, what will the world be like after you've done this? Oh, well, that's a good question. I actually wrote a couple of articles on what I call the post-Illuminati world. It's actually something I'm having to deal with at the moment because it's part of my new book that I'm writing now, which I was hoping to release in August. I'm not going to be able to, but will be out sometime soon. It's the third in the Roswell trilogy. So I'm actually going to have to talk about the post-Illuminati world and things like that, the transitional period to that to that state and things like that. And that's something I've had to think about. Akima Sanders, that Ronald J. Trump is here. You're not a Trump fan, Akima. Well, watch my live stream. Watch my live stream on QAnon. Okay. Mickey Tom, no gurney shoving for me. Oh right. Well, it depends because portering is sort of like changed. The senior porter does have to muck in occasionally. David, you've sent me 4 pictures of UFOs. Thanks. I've heard that Gaia TV is falling apart. Wilcock is just one of the rats abandoning the. Hang on, I've lost my place. Gaia was taken over from Gurdjieff, who said it was over 100 years ago. Well, Gurdjieff was a philosopher. He was a Russian philosopher. But Gaia is like the Greek name for the Earth. Gaia TV is like a TV channel. I don't think there's a connection with Gurdjieff. Mars is real. Villanova, you saw, yeah. I like the Greer Project Camelot interview because Kerry and Greer are both quite hot-headed people. They're quite hard-headed people. They can be quite belligerent. But Greer, I think, is completely off on one. He's completely gone off on a ridiculous. he said some ridiculous things, and Kerry quite rightly put him to task on that. And he didn't like it. He didn't like being disagreed with. So he started getting bitchy with Kerry. And Kerry gave him as good as she got, which is nice. What physics comments? Hugo Rune has gone off on a... I think Hugo Rune's fallen out with me now because I haven't been answering his physics comments, which he's been replying to other people about. So Hugo, if you're listening, you misjudged me. I'm not trying to ignore you. I notice you're in conversation with other people, and I don't want to just repeat conversations you're having with other people. I can't be dealing with these people. I can't go tiptoeing around people. I can't. But that's what you have to do to stop people behaving like this. People like Wilcott practice black magic, says Mel O'Brien. I don't know about that. Tina, has Greer been on Joe Rogan? I'll have to check that out. Because Joe Rogan is bloody brilliant. I love his stuff. Joe Rogan Experience is one of my favorite radio shows. I'd love to be on it. I wish he'd get me on it. I'll have to check that out. India is full of aliens. Yes, well, India, there's actually flying saucers buried under temples in India. Mickey Tolman, I love Viz. Yeah, I love Viz. Biffa Bacon. I like the Fat Slags and Roger Melly. I think they're really good. Jolanda, well, it's you get a good pick, get a good look at it because it's not going to be that bright for another 100 years, the Mars. Mickey Tolman and David are arguing. Okay, well, where are we? Akima Sanders, have any of you, including Ben? I've seen a friend request. No, I've not seen that. I don't know what that is. Greer is in business doing meditations and UFO tours. Yeah, the photo of the alien is ridiculous. I've lost most of the respect I had for Greer, actually. He's just, I don't trust him. Where are we? I've got to go back now. Again, it's keep losing my places. Yeah, friend request. Okay. A horror called friend request. All right. Are you going in, Anthony? All right. Well, thanks for joining us. Peaky Blenders. Okay. Thanks for joining us, and much appreciated. I'm gonna have to finish it. New Night Planet. Night. See you. New Night Planet's going to. I've been going nearly 2 hours. I'm gonna have to end it soon. Right, here we go. Gurdjieff said to Mel, the planet is a living being and that we're like a cancer on its surface. There's that guy he wrote a book, wasn't it? James Lovelock. That's interesting, that, because this is kind of the be not a cancer on the earth is a quote from the Georgia Guidestones. Right, where are we? Mickey Thomas, is Namibia behind the sofa? I think you're taking a piss out of Jizz, aren't you? TK, if I can get extra, I'll say on her panel Thursday chat. Please do join us, TK. Yeah, and are you Tiberius Kirk? Because I know you're often in chat then, aren't you? Why are you wearing a hat? Because my head is basically a great big white reflector board. That's why. Ebbers1 says, me and Steve Mumbling should do a live stream. That'd be great. Yeah, he's a non-believer. I'd be happy to. I'll have him on Hapanmo Radio. He's an Englishman. He's been in Oz a while. He sounds a bit. He likes many Australians sound a bit English, but yeah, I'd be glad to have him on. He'd be good on Hapanmo Radio, I think, as well. I don't sound Welsh. Well, I've lived in Oxford for a long time. Are you going, Tina? All right, where am I? Here we go. Greer's definitely been on the Joe Rogan show. I'll have to see it. Yeah, I'll have to get that. And Tina was talking about that. Yeah. Akimus Villanroy says, I was watching Greer the other night and fell asleep. He does have that. He does have that effect on people. Akima Saunders, how would anyone like Trump? Racist, bloody gay. I'm talking about. No, he's not. He's neither racist nor gay. What, Jolanda? My opinion on Tim Riffat. Tim Riffat is someone who's around. I haven't watched his new interviews with Miles, but he was someone who was around in the 90s, and I thought he was very interesting. MS1, I'm sure you and Mr. Mumbling would get well if we were in a pub together. Yeah, I would. I don't mind Steve Mumbling. He's a skeptic. You see, this idea that somehow I'm opposed to skeptics and I don't like, right? it is nonsense. I don't mind skeptics if they're well behaved and they're respectful. And Steve is. He's very robust in his arguments, but he's not rude and abusive. Do I love you? Just no. Hillary would have had us in World War III. That's right, Tina. I think a key. I don't think you're talking any sense here. Mel O'Brien says, my astrologer friend says these celestial events will bring some big changes. People are getting crazier due to the solar winds. Well, Mars is like a very dynamic planet, isn't it? It's the war, and it's about energy, and it's about masculinity, and it's very bright in the sky, which could mean some major real action, which is really, really good. The truth movement is good as the evidence is good. Well, David, the truth movement is good. It takes more than just evidence. It takes a coherent community and people who are willing to put their personal petty tiffs to one side because the job has to be done. MS1, yeah, I'll approach him. Yeah, Steve 071. Am I a Geordie now? Well, just because I've been to Newcastle 3 times this year doesn't mean I'm a Geordie. God, Hillary will run in 2020. I guarantee it. And this is very unusual in American politics, but we're living in unusual times. The only candidate who failed before in American history and then ran again was Richard Nixon. He went up against Kennedy in '60, and he failed. But then they brought him back. I think they will bring Hillary Clinton back. Hugo Roon is back. Oh, Hugo. Right, Welsh means foreigner. Didn't I say that? I'm sorry, but I can't see them all. Yes, I know it does. Yeah, Welsh does mean foreigner. I'm not ignoring you, Hugo. It's just you're in conversation with other people. It does. Welsh is Old English. That's right. I don't know what you mean, Mickey, about Ike. I started watching Gridman the other night. Oh, that's the Grid Keeper, you mean? And am I doing the 3rd book, Vrillon? Yes, I am. And I'm trying to write it, and it's much more difficult than the other 2 because I have to contemplate this post-Illuminati situation, and it's not easy. Akima Sana says, if you had choices to make in the world before your death do you part, save your wife and your family, kill your best buddy. I can't do these big. You're like one of these philosophers who said, would you switch the rails and let the train run over the 5 people? I can't do that. These sadistic little moral dilemmas, I can't stand that. I stand corrected as the man in orthopedic shoes. Right. You're off, Paul. See you, Paul. The Cockmeister, you just turned up at the end. What's your opinion of Nick? I can either confirm it as like Pope. Well, Nick was on the TV again talking about airliners and their associations with UFOs. And I thought it'd be nice to have a different person on the show for a change. They have Nick every time. MS1. I think you have MS. I'm sorry to hear that. My mum had that. I think Hillary has a neurological disease and will not be well enough to stand again. Well, they'll just clone her then, MS. Emperor Bob, hi. Oh dear, is the dog all right? You didn't see the... All right, you see you then, Hugo. Night, Edwardian lady. I'm going to leave it now. I'm going to now close the live stream, okay, because I'm tired. I've been going almost 2 hours. I think we covered a lot of subjects here. And I want to thank everyone for posting in the chat, in the live chat. It's much appreciated. I couldn't do these live streams if it weren't for you guys in the live chat. So thank you very much, all of you. And I do appreciate you. No, David. Jizz is just right. Jizz has just been rude, and I'll have to get rid of Jizz. Jizz, I'm gonna have to ban you if you come back next time because you're now just stirring. You're now just shit stirring, and you are trolling, and you're flaming. All right. So see you, Mel. Thank you, Mel. Thank you very much. Night, Vrillon. Thank you very much. Yes, Vrillon. Well guessed. See you guys. Bye. Bon noir. We had a French person in earlier. Bye, Emperor Mong. Bye, Akima Sanders. Yeah, I will, David. I'll look at it when I've got a moment. I'm a bit tired now. And with nothing else, all I can say is hospital ports, pride and dignity, stop the New World Order. I hope the heat wave ends. I hope you will get some rain, and I hope that just things are a bit easier from now on. The weather returns to normal. Thanks, MS1. Bye-bye, everyone. Night-night.